On the entertainment, and welcome back to the Canadian Bro Show podcast. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and thank you very much for joining us. When I say us, normally my co-host of the most, Trent Rowley, would be joining me for all basketball from the Hoopjunkies, Pauly and Rowley. However, Rowley is on a vacation in St. Paul's playing some golf in a senior men's sort of semi-tournament, pro tournament, and he's also started a new job. So I am going solo today, and welcome to the Canadian Bro Show, all basketball from the Hoopjunkies, Pauly and Rowley. And today's episode is, it's quite exciting. This is episode 60, week 30, the second season of the Canadian Bro Show podcast. And today's show is NBA 2026 NBA free agency. All 30 teams. I'm going to break down all 30 teams in terms of how they drafted, how they're prepared for the season, as the season is just starting. Summer League is just finishing. I've been watching a ton of Summer League. I've been watching a ton of basketball. In preparation for this show, I've actually spent me 3 days putting together all of the information, because it's just the free agency this year was just unbelievable, how much activity and how many players actually traded and are still trading. And there are people that are still not have found a team. And of course, the most important person in that is Mr. Lebron James, the king himself. He is taking his sweet ass time, and so he should. Going into his 22nd season in the NBA. He'll be turning 40 when the season starts. The man is just ridiculous. And I will be doing a Summer League and a WNBA episode at some point in the next week or so when Trent comes back. And in the meantime, let's get down to it. We got a lot of good stuff here. I'm going to do this in alphabetical order. Essentially, I'm going to start off with the Atlanta Hawks, who've had a pretty good Summer League up until this point, but I'll talk about Summer League in the next episode. What I want to talk about is their starting five, how they drafted, and the Atlanta Hawks have done actually quite well. I would give them a C+ on how they've drafted and how they put together a team thus far in 2026 for the 2026-27 season. In Summer League, the big players that they drafted, of course, is in the first round. They got Kingston Flemings, who is a really dynamic guard. He's about 6'5". He's quite slender. He's maybe 175 pounds, but he has good height, and he has good savvy. And I watched him play a few times, and I think it's a really good pickup. They also traded for Aaron Wiggins, which gives them a three-point depth on the wing. And he's a scorer and a great shooter. And Atlanta has a ton of depth this year, so it's going to be really interesting how they put together. And they picked up a 7-footer from North Carolina, Henry Vessler, who I've been watching play. And he's been playing really well. He can shoot it. He's active. He's mobile. He's pretty athletic for a big 7-footer, and I think they've done very well. Again, they also have C.J. McCollum, the veteran at 35 now, agrees to a 1-year term, and Jock Langdale, a valuable backup big man who can really perform. They also picked up Devin Carter via trade with the Kings, which gives them further backcourt depth. Their starting lineup, in my opinion, looks like this. I say C.J. McCollum is still going to be their starting point guard. However, he is a combo guard and more of a shooting guard. But I believe that Kingston Flemings is going to be coming off the bench. They might even start Kingston Flemings at point guard and have C.J. McCollum come over as their sixth man off the bench. In the two-guard position, a Canadian. I love how he played. He had an excellent season last year, and we're hoping that he's going to have another great season this year as well. And that's Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who is the cousin of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And he'll be the two-guard, I think. And at the three-guard, their best defensive player, who definitely needs some work on his outside game, but I think they're going to go with Dyson Daniels. I think it's a smart move. And Aaron Wiggins can come off for him. They have other people, of course. At power forward, they had the phenomenal Jalen Johnson, who had just an excellent season last year, all-star season, and will continue to do so again this season, I'm hoping. And, of course, at center, Onyeka Okongwu really had an excellent season last year, finally stepped up into a higher level, and I think he will continue. All in all, the Atlanta Hawks are looking good. Let's go down to, again, this is alphabetical, so I'll just go into the Boston Celtics next. Now, the Boston Celtics, they re-signed Ron Harper Jr., who, with that Harper family, has got some serious talent, and they signed him to a 3-year deal. They also signed their big man in the middle from Portugal, Nemes Kida, who I love, to a 4-year deal. So that's really going to help them at the center position. And they signed veteran point guard Mike Conley to give them backcourt depth, which they need because they lost a couple of players. They made the what I consider to be one of the worst trades of last year. I might be wrong, but I really think the Jaylen Brown trade, they got a great player. Unfortunately, they had to trade away Jaylen Brown. They could have got a lot more from him. They also basically lost Nikola Vucevic. He only played for 1 year, didn't really fit in there. I think he's going to do really well with the Orlando Magic, and I'll talk about that later. But I think Paul George, if he can stay healthy and play more than 60 games, he might be able to put in, into the low to mid-20s. And before he got injured, or he actually he got some substance issues, he was taken away from 25 games. He actually played really well in the second half of the year last year. And they picked up big man Mitchell Robinson, who's one of the best offensive rebounding big men in the NBA. He has limitations offensively. He's the worst foul shooter in the NBA, and he's injury prone. With small feet for a 7-footer, ankle turns all over the place. But I hope he really does have a good year, and he's a world champion with the New York Knickerbockers. So, congratulations on that. It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. My starting lineup for the Boston Celtics this season coming up is Peyton Pritchard at the point guard. Had a great season last year. I think it's going to continue. I think Jason Tatum and Paul George are going to be interchangeable. Derek White is going to be the secondary combo guard in the backcourt with Peyton Pritchard. And I think you're going to see Jason Tatum, Paul George, and, maybe one of their draft picks, Hugo Gonzalez, I think is going to be a real great player off the bench, and he'll be able to back up Paul George and Jason Tatum. So that's what I got in that. And based in their drafting and their trades, I'd give it a B+, a strong B+. However, the Jaylen Brown trade was really terrible. I think they could have got a lot more for it. But anyways, life goes on. And let's go to the next team alphabetically. Let's go to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, they've certainly made an improvement from last season. Their summer league, Igor Demin, their 6'8" point guard, who will be their starting point guard, in my opinion, this year, unless he plays the 2 guard, and Nolan Traore starts at point, because Traore is only 6'1" and Igor's 6'8", so they can be interchangeable. They also drafted Mikael Brown Jr., who is a pure scorer. He can just light it. They're re-signing Josh Minot, agrees to a 2-year deal. Day'Ron Sharpe agrees to a 2-year deal. I really like that pickup for the big man. They need him now that they got rid of their big man. I'll get into that later. Keon Ellis was a great pickup for defense and further depth in the backcourt. Julius Randle, huge pickup. A little bit weird trade, but it was for the cap, and I think he's going to have a 25-10 type of season on the Brooklyn Nets this year. He's going to be their starting point guard. They scooped 7-footer Moritz Wagner, the Wagner brothers, from Orlando, and agreed to a 2-year deal. They lost Zaire Williams to the Lakers and Nick Claxton to the Bulls. I think their starting lineup is going to look like Nolan Traore, Igor Demin. Then it's going to be Michael Porter Jr. playing the 3, Julius Randle playing the power forward, and I think they're going to start Day'Ron Sharpe. I think he's proven it, and I really don't know who else could start at this time. 6th man, I think maybe Terrence Mann. We're going to move on to the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets made a big trade, of course, and the big trade of signing off their one of the best point guards in the NBA, but I'll get to that later. And that's LaMelo Ball departs with a 4-team trade. And I think it was another bad trade. I don't think Orlando did as well as they could have. They could have gotten a lot more for him, but I tell you what, the Minnesota Timberwolves are ecstatic But let's just talk about the Charlotte Hornets for a sec. They have a big man who's been playing really well in the summer league, named Tijane Salatin. Forgive me if my enunciation's not so good, but I mean, I'm working it over here. They got another guy, Steinbach, a guard forward who's played really well, and they've got this 6'7" gunner named Liam McNeely, who they picked up and played. He's playing excellent in summer league, and he can really shoot it. In one of the games just recently, he had 7 threes, and he's 6'7", so he's going to get lots of looks. I would give them a C+ when it comes to drafting, and they picked up Kobe White after they traded LaMelo Ball. He'll be their starting point guard, I believe. And Kobe then instantly signs a 3-year deal. They picked up Grayson Allen. Once he's healthy, he can actually fill in the backcourt quite nicely. He's always injured, but when he's not injured, he is definitely a savvy vet. And Dorian Finley-Smith, he's kind of traveled around a little bit in the NBA, but everybody loves his defense. He's a good team player, and he doesn't cost much, so it's not going to... All these teams in the NBA right now are avoiding the second apron. Another Phoenix cast-off, who's really just a one-trick pony, and that's Royce O'Neal. And he can shoot threes, and he can play D. My favorite of all of these trades is Naz Reid. They had to give him up because they had to match salaries, but Naz should be the starting power forward, and he's going to get a lot of threes. It might even be at center, depending on who they start at the forward if they go small ball. But Naz is going to shoot threes. If he plays on the block, he can beat you on the block. He can beat you on the wing. He can beat you from deep, both from the wing positions at the top of the key and the short threes on the sides. I really like that pickup. Unfortunately, they really didn't do very much else with big trades. Their drafting was okay. They got a couple of big men. I would say their starting 5 this year is going to be Kobe White at the 1, Con Knipple, of course, who had an unbelievable breakthrough year last year, and Brandon Miller, I think, will be the 3, also had a great year. Naz Reid at the 4, and I think they're going to go with more athleticism and springiness and mobile in Musa Diabate, who had a pretty good year. They've got 3 7-footers, 2 backing up, and both of them are kind of slow and lethargic and slow of foot, but they're big. So that's who I think the starting lineup's going to be. Charlotte Hornets, I'll give them a C+ just for effort and having the balls, if you will, to actually trade LaMelo Ball. And they did get a couple of first-rounders out of them. And they also lost Miles Bridges, who departs to play with the Suns. I think that was a good pickup with the Suns. A lot of people are not high on him. I am. I like him. I think he can be a 21, 22 point a game, 7-8 rebounds. He plays 75 games this season. He's 6'7", 225. I like the pickup. And they also got Josh Green, who... I think, it might be on the fringe of the NBA, but I'm not a big fan of the trade, and they could struggle this year. Let's move on to another team that seems to be rebuilding, and that's the Chicago Bulls. And thank goodness they finally signed or re-signed Josh Giddey to a 4-year, $100 million contract. I think that was the most important thing for the rebuilding Bulls, in that they have somebody that runs the point the way that Josh does. He's a walking triple-double, and in fantasy basketball, one of my favorite players. And even though he didn't have a great second half of last year, I still think that there is a lot of room for improvement. And you have to remember, they got a new coach. And I'm a big fan of their new coach. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he fits in as well. And so re-signing, what they did is they, first of all, they drafted in the 4th pick. Maybe, some people might say maybe, certainly statistically so far in the Summer League, they drafted the 4th overall first pick, and that is Caleb Wilson, who in Summer League has been playing mind-blowing basketball. He is legitimate. He's 6'9", probably still growing, and he has a 40-inch vertical, and he's long, and he can shoot the 3. He's explosive. I'm going to draft him in the 4th and 5th rounds if he's available in fantasy basketball this year, because this kid has got some serious talent, and his motor just keeps on going and going, and he has a great attitude, and he has a chip in his shoulder because he thought he was the best player in the draft. as a lot of the first 4 or 5. It was a great draft, by the way. So I really love that pickup. And Zach Collins agreed to a second year. They also got Nick Claxton from the Nets. I think that's going to really help in the middle. They scooped Norman Powell on a 2-year deal from the Heat. Fantastic pickup. They also lost Anthony Simons and Colin Sexton to the Lakers. But I think their starting lineup is going to look like this. Josh Giddey at the point. Norman Powell at the 2 guard, of course. He's basically 6'4". Matis Buzelis, one of my favorite European players, had a great season last year. And one of the best large... He's actually 6'10" this year. He'll be their small forward. Caleb Wilson will be their power forward. And I think they're probably going to start Nick Claxton as their center. So, much better team than last year. A new coach. They've got more depth. And it's going to be exciting. I hope the Bulls can put it back together because, historically one of the best franchises in the NBA, of course. Moving on to Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of the teams that are waiting for LeBron James to make up his mind. And I'll talk a little bit about LeBron James at the very end of the show, but it's very important in the show. I think LeBron James is going to get traded the next 3 days. Could even be 24 hours. I think it's really gone down to 3 teams. But as LeBron loves to do, he loves to keep us all waiting and guessing. And it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Cleveland. I think it's the best fit. But if Philly had more depth on the bench, that could be a consideration. He might choose that. There's a good chance he could go to the Heat. He's been there before, won a championship. They need him. I'm not sure how much money they can offer him. And their depth is a serious problem with the Heat. I think the best choice is the Golden State Warriors or the Cavs. That's my guess. We'll talk about it later. In the meantime, these teams have to fill their rosters around the possibility of LeBron James joining. And Cleveland didn't do much in the offseason, except they grabbed probably one of the most prolific scoring guards in the Summer League and who had dropped in the draft, and that's Malik Thomas. This kid is a gunner, and he's 6'6", and he's really going to help them maybe as a 6th man coming off the bench. He might even start with this team. You never know because they lost Dean Wade. And although Sam Merrill is undersized at 6'4", he's a prolific shooter. So at starting point guard in the starting 5 for the Cavaliers without Bron is James Harden. Donovan Mitchell just signed and agreed to a massive 4-year extension of $257 million. He'll be their 2 guard. I'm thinking they're going to slot in Jalen Tyson because they lost Wade. And Tyson's a 6'7", 230 power forward who played really well in the first half of last year. He plays defense and he rebounds like a beast. And then they're going to go with the dual 7-footers. I think they're going to put Jared Allen at the center. And they're interchangeable, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Evan Mobley has more of a 3-point game, so I could see him playing the power forward and put Jared Allen against centers, and then Evan Mobley can shoot threes and force the block to open up for Jared Allen. I don't think they got him the ball as much as they should last year, and I'm hoping he has a better year. It's going to be very interesting. Can you imagine if LeBron James joins the Cleveland Cavaliers? He'd fit right into that number 3 spot. And Jalen Tyson would be an excellent guy coming off the bench. Departures. They lost Larry Nance Jr., who departs in free agency, and he's always injured anyways. They also lost Keon Ellis. The Brooklyn Nets got him. Boy, he's a nice defensive guard. And Dean Wade picked up a very nice contract with the 76ers. I don't know if he can fill those shoes at that position with the money they paid him. But this is why we do a show like this. We'll see what happens. We're moving on to Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks in their draft, with their new GM, Toronto's old GM, scooped a young talent from FIBA named Sergio Delaria. He's about 6'8". He's very thin at about 175, 80 pounds, so he needs to get on a weight program. But, boy, this kid is unbelievable. I watched him play 3 times. They sat him down for the 4th game. And he was averaging 13 and a half, 14 points, 10 assists. I believe he's leading the Summer League in assists per game. and he really has that pass-first point guard running the show. I think he's going to be an excellent fit for the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm not sure if he's going to be starting in the first half of the season. I think Klay Thompson is going to start in that position, but based on who they picked up Santi Aldama from the Grizzlies. He's a great 7-footer. I think he's going to provide depth. They picked up a gunner off the bench from Detroit, and Marcus Sasser. Again, could give them depth in the backcourt. And they took a fellow by the name of Tariq Biberocic, and he signed a 2-year deal. Departing Marvin Bagley, A.J. Johnson, and I don't think they're really missing anything. Chris Middleton's gone. But the starting lineup, now that Kyrie Irving is finally healthy, Kyrie Irving will be back as their starting point guard. Shooting guard, I think Klay Thompson's going to be starting initially, and then you'll see Sergio Delaria. I think he'll move into that position as the season progresses. Of course, Cooper Flagg will be their starting small forward. I think they're going to go with P.J. Washington at the power forward because he, unlike many other bigs on the Dallas Mavericks, can actually have a three-point game. And when he's not injured, he must have turned his ankle 11 times last year. But hopefully he can sort that out, get some ankle braces, and he can rebound, and he puts up good numbers. And at center, the oft-injured 7'1" live wire, that is Derek Lively. He is probably one of the most injury-prone big men in the NBA, but he is so athletic and long that, and they've added depth via their draft picks. Also, they picked up, they've got, as a backup for Kyrie, they've got Ryan Nembhard, who's been playing really well in the Summer League. He's a past first point guard, and he's impressed all of the coaches on the Dallas Mavericks team. And they got a Greek kid they picked up at 6'8" named Papadopoulos. And he is another FIBA star that can shoot it. He can play the 2, he can play the 3, and I think he's going to be a valuable bench player. All in all, I give them a C+ on their the drafting's really good, but I give them a C+ on basically who they picked up and who they signed. Nothing really crazy, but I still like the team. I'm going to keep a close eye on them in the West this year. We're moving on to the Denver Nuggets. And the Denver Nuggets, I have to give it a C. They really didn't do enough to surround Jokic with the people and the talent that they need to make another push for a championship. And that's maybe why Jokic, he just walked away from a $285 million extension. Because if he holds off for another year or gets traded, he goes up to about $385 million. So it's just a ton of money. It's unfortunate, but they re-signed Tyus Jones, which gives them backup for Jamal Murray. And they picked up Bagley to give them some backup at the center position and forward. And Tim Hardaway is back. Tim Hardaway was picked up by the Heat. We'll get into that later. The starting lineup is a lot of the same names. Jamal Murray, Canadian Jamal Murray, had a great season last year. Peyton Watson was injured, but I think he'll slide into the 2 position because his 3-point game has improved and his defense at the 2 position, he's long, and I think he can hold down a lot of these gunners out there. At the 3 position, I like Cameron Johnson. Had a pretty good second half of the year. Aaron Gordon, if he could just, phone up Amazon and order some hamstrings, both of them, right and left. If he can stay healthy and play at least 65 games and provide the type of basketball he's been playing, he's a valuable piece. And, of course, they won a championship together. And, of course, the Joker in the center, Djokovic. So the Denver Nuggets, have they improved? Well, no. But they drafted a kid that is just a scoring machine, a point guard named Marcus Sears, and he's been going off. So keep an eye out for him. He's going to put some pressure on the backcourt of the Denver Nuggets as they're quite thin. Heading down in the alphabetical order, we're heading to the Detroit Pistons. And their summer league was, they picked up Ibuka Okuri. A lot of people don't know who he was. I watched him play. He's a big guy. He can shoot the 3. He can rebound. He's very raw. I think the Pistons are really going to have some problems in the middle. They still have Jalen Duren at the center position, but he's a restricted free agent, and they still haven't signed him, which is really weird. So keep an eye out for that. They did resign Javonte Green, agreed to a 1-year deal, and Kevin Red Velvet Herter, I don't know, agrees to a 3-year deal. But they did pick up some good, some good help in John Collins. They signed him in a sign and trade with the Clippers, and he agreed to a 3-year deal and gave him some money. And I believe he's going to be the starting power forward to start the year. Gary Harris, never been a fan, but apparently he can shoot. Another guy that's always injured. I don't know why. It was a trade with the Bucks. I think the Bucks had to get rid of salary dumps so that they could make the trade with the Greek Freak. And Isaiah Joe is a much better pick. They picked him up of OKC, and he's a gunner. He's not a chucker. He's a pure shooter, and he can shoot the 3, and he can play D. And he's got good size. Taurean Prince floated around the NBA. I think this is his 9th, 10th team. But at 6'7", plays the wing, can play depth. And he plays defense, and he's a good 3-point shooter, and he's a professional. Shows up on the court, off the court, he's solid. All in all, I give them a C+. Moving on to Golden State. Let's get down to. I just skipped one. My bad. Where are we here? Yeah. So. Golden State Warriors. This is going to be another team. They drafted exceptionally well. I'm going to give them an A. It's really, really incredible how they got Yaxel Lindenberg, who has been playing unbelievable. I give him a first-team All-Star in the Summer League, and at 6'9", 24 years old, he'll be starting, in my opinion, with the Golden State Warriors. And, of course, that is if they don't get LeBron James, because I think they got to start Draymond Green at the 3 and LeBron James at the 4 if they get him, and Kristaps Porzingis, they signed him. So they re-signed Charles Bassey, who's a big man, to a 1-year deal. They re-signed Al Horford and agreed to a 2-year deal, which is fantastic. And DeAnthony Melton, who is a valuable combo guard in the NBA, is always injured, but he just signed a 2-year new deal, and hopefully he can stay healthy. And Kristaps Porzingis, who really, really loves playing with the Warriors, and the fans love him. He's been smiling a lot, and that's a good sign as a player. Agrees to a 2-year deal. I think the starting 5 is going to look like this. Stephen Curry, of course, is going to be at 36, fresh, and the best shooter in the history of the NBA. Brandon Podziemski had a pretty good year last year. I think there's room for improvement. He's 6'6", and he can play the point in relief. Yaxel Lindenberg at 6'9". He could play power forward, and Draymond Green would slide into the 3 position, although Draymond Green plays fantastic defense as an undersized big at 6, on a good day, 6'6". And then Kristaps at center. Jimmy Butler is supposed to be back in either late December or early January. And can you imagine if the King goes to Golden State? That could be one of the opportunities. I think they've got a really... I've given them an A for what they've done on drafts and free agency and maneuvering, not being in the second apron. And we'll see what happens when LeBron James gets traded within 24 hours, 48 hours, even more. He'll take his sweet time. We don't know when. They did lose big man Quentin Post, who signed with the Grizzlies. And on to the Houston Rockets. Summer League, really, they didn't pick up very much. I'll give them a C+ on the one player that they picked up and a couple of free agent guys that they signed. And it's going to be really interesting to see how they can put it together. A healthy season. The big kid that they signed is, and forgive me with my enunciation on this man's name, his name is Ugonna Onye Oso. Sorry about that. He's a center, a big kid. I've watched him play. He's got some nice talent. He'll be in the NBA for a long time, I think, if and they need him in Houston down low. Fred VanVleet, he's back. And I believe he's a free agent. And he had signed that ridiculous 3-year, $80 million contract, and then was traded immediately. And of course, he got hurt right away. So it'd be nice to see Fred take back the starting point guard position. with the Houston Rockets. And Amen Thompson, of course, continuing his defensive frenzy. The man is just insane. Kevin Durant, they might move him down to the 3. They might put him in the 4. They can put him anywhere he wants. He can get a shot off against anyone in the NBA, even at the ripe age of 35. A scoring machine. Jabari Smith had a fantastic year last year as power forward, and the coach loves him. He'll be starting at power forward. And one of my favorite players, and I think one of the most underrated bigs in the NBA, doesn't get a lot of credit. Not a lot of people like him for some reason. I don't get it. He plays below the rim, but Elfrin Şengün really had some nice numbers. He was one of a few. I think there's only 5 players in the NBA that averaged about 23, 24 points, 6.5 assists, 9 rebounds, a couple of steals, and a block. And I think he's only 23, 24 years old. He has a lot of room for improvement, and I really hope that Kevin Durant treats him a little better this year, because I understand that there was a little bit of animosity between them for whatever reason. Terry Eason signs a 5-year deal extension. They got him on a bargain price. And often injured from the Clips, Bogdanovic, the Serbian chucker, is always injured. Maybe plays 35, 40 games. This might be his last season in the NBA. I'll give them a C+ for effort. And Marcus Smart basically agreed to a 2-year deal. That's going to help the backcourt, because Reed, he's a really good backup point guard. He's a shooting guard. He's not a defensive stopper. Marcus is. They're the same size. And they lost Dorian Finney-Smith and Josh Okogie. Not a big deal. On to the Indiana Pacers. They were really quiet. They actually had 0 picks in the 2006 NBA free agency. It's hard to believe, but maybe they just felt that they were happy with the team they had, or they were too close to the second apron and had to maneuver to get some bigs. And essentially no picks in the first or second round. That's very rare. One of only 2 teams in the NBA that didn't have any picks, or didn't pick, or traded their picks. So, it's going to be interesting. I'm just going to go, who did they get? Larry Nance Jr. agrees to a 1-year deal. Another one of these players has got tremendous talent, undersized big, always injured. I'm not really sure. It's probably going to continue on. They did, however, scoop one of the better defensive players, wing player, a 3-player, and Kelly Oubre Jr. from the Philadelphia 76. That's a nice pickup. It's going to help them a lot. He might even start at the 3. Cam Jones departs with a trade to the Bulls. Not a big deal. And they picked off the waivers Mikel Potter, who's a decent 6'11" big man. Their starting lineup, Tyrese Halliburton, is back and healthy. And I hope in the offseason and all the injuries he's had with his calves and his Achilles and his lack of thigh muscle and his hamstrings and his core, the guy doesn't hit the gym. He is 6'5" and maybe 180. He needs to build his core. That's why he keeps on having the same injuries. I played professional basketball. I know a little bit about professional basketball. I know a little bit about how to play in a professional league, especially some guy like a 5'11" white guy that's 30 years old. I started playing basketball at 30. But getting back, it's nice to see Halliburton back. His backcourt teammate, they can interchange. It's going to be Andrew Nembhard, who had a pretty good year last year. Kelly Oubre Jr. I think is going to fit in really nicely in the wing in the 3 position. And Pascal Siakam, an all-star. He's been playing well. And again, at the center, I think they finally got their center they were looking for when they lost 2 of their centers, and that's Ivica Zubac. And their starting 5 is going to be nice. I don't know about their bench, but they do have a good coach, and they could be one of the surprises in their conference next year. But I honestly, I give them a C-. And really, that was just because they got Kelly Oubre Jr. I think that's a good pickup. So I'm not really sure why they're doing it, but we'll see what happens. We're going to go down to the Clippers next, the LA Clippers. The LA Clippers, they had a really good draft. They picked up one of my favorite guards in the draft, and that's Keaton Wagner. He's like 6'6". He's only 185, but he's a gunner. And I saw him play one game in NCAAs last year, and he had 58 points, and he was on fire. I really like his talent in the NBA as a 2 guard. He could play the 1 because he's very unselfish. They also got a guy named Sean Padulin, who's been playing really well, and they really need bigs. And they picked up another guy named Norchad Omier, who's also played quite well. And then Jordan Miller, a young 6'8" wing who they've been flirting with in the last couple of years, just signed a 3-year deal. Kobe Sanders agreed to a 4-year deal. And they also picked up Rui Hachimura from the Lakers, and he agreed to a 2-year deal. He's going to be a big pickup for them. And they got Grady Dick. I really have nothing to say about Grady Dick. I'm surprised he's in the NBA. But perhaps he has, he's kind of like a poor man's version of Kevin Huerter, Red Velvet. But that's all he does is shoot the three, and he's 6'8". So I'm going to give them a C+. The Indiana Pacers look really good, but I'm going to go down to their starting lineup with the Clippers. And I'm looking at a starting point guard is another injury-prone guard, but he is really one of the top 10 point guards in the NBA, and that's Darius Garland. A lot of people like him, and I think he's a great point guard. I think Brandon Ingram, who they picked up from the Raptors in the trade with the Clippers, and that whole fiasco is on hold because the NBA is looking at finding the Clippers, and they might actually, who knows what's going to happen with that. But it's going to be very interesting to see because, I really like the Brandon Ingram trade. They got Benedict Mathurin, the Canadian, who's a free agent as well. Keaton Wagner, they're all about the same size. I think at the 4, it's going to be a Rui Hachimura. And at center, they don't really have anything. They got a young, active big at 6'11" named Yannick Conan Niedermeyer. They also have Bradley Beal. Believe it or not, Bradley Beal is still in the NBA, making quarters of billions of dollars, not doing really anything. He's one of these guys that's had an entire career, and he's made $1 billion. And he's rarely played more than 50 games in an 82-game season. So not a big fan, but I hope he's healthy. That would be nice to see. Brandon Ingram, I think, is going to be a big pickup for them. I think he's easily could be a 25-5-5 guy, and was playing well for the Raptors before he got traded. They lost John Collins. Kawhi Leonard departs, but the NBA has frozen the contract, so we don't know what's going to happen with the Raptors. I'll get there later when I do the Raptors. Next, on to my favorite team in the western part of the NBA, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. I think the Los Angeles Lakers, right now in the Summer League, they look like a good shot to win the entire Summer League, in the Vegas Summer League that they're at right now. They're going to the semifinals. They were the only team that was 4-0. And the reason was a couple of guys. And their first-round pick, I think 16th, 17th overall, was a Cameron Carr. This guy's a lightning rod at 6'6". He is so comfortable in his own skin. He can shoot the three. He's unstoppable. He's got ambidextrous, and he's just exciting. And what a great pick. Maybe one of the best picks at 17. I'm really looking forward to watching him. They've also got another kid that has been flirting with getting on that roster, but they just had to free up some space, and that's Chris Mannon. He's 6'6", and he's been playing great in the Summer League. And one of my favorite players in the NBA Summer League in Vegas is a guy I didn't know who he was at first, and then I recognized him because he had more hair when he first started in the league. He's 30 years old. His name's John Elmore, and he's been playing all over the world, and he's been playing in the G League, and he looks like he's a mailman from your neighborhood. At 6'4", he's slow. He's not exactly athletic, but man, does this guy win. He is a total winner, and I guarantee you he's going to make the roster on the Lakers. I think the starting lineup in the Lakers is going to look like this. Oh, let me just add the additions, because this is crazy what they did. They picked up Zaire Williams for a 1-year deal because they couldn't get confirmation on Kuminga. And let's face it, Kuminga would have cost, 30. He wanted $25 million a season. The Lakers weren't willing to put that out. They were going to give him a $25 million 1 year with an option on the second year, but he just, I'm not sure if he's the brightest guy or he's getting the right advice, but he's a talented, athletic guy. He just can't seem to get it together. Quentin Grimes, man, they scooped him from Philly. I like him. He's 6'5". They Lakers got him on a 4-year deal. I think he's going to be their starting a wing at the 3. He plays D. He can shoot the 3. He's unselfish. He can run the point. Jaden Hardy they picked up, not a great defensive player, but another person that gives them backcourt depth. Comes off the bench as a gunner. And not scared. At 6'3", plays like he's 6'6". The biggest trade is the big Walker Kessler trade. the 7-footer from the Utah Jazz that played 5 games last year. And if you look at how many times he's been injured, 5 games is ridiculous. But he's fresh. He's 7'1", and he can block shots. And via a sign and trade with the Jazz, he agreed to a 4-year, $175 million contract. Let's hope he stays healthy, because he will block up and it gives Luka someone who can throw lobs to. And I think the starting lineup is going to be Luka at the point. It's going to be interchangeable with Austin Reeves, Quentin Grimes at the 3. However, you could move Luka over to the 3 and put Austin at the point and put Quentin Grimes at the 2. They pick up Sandro Mama Scalasvili from the Toronto. He's a big 6'10" guy. I think it's a fantastic pickup for their loss in Rui Hachimura. And I like him more than Rui. Pretty good job, but he only averaged 3 rebounds. And one of the best 3-point shooters, but Mamu at 6'10", he can rebound, he can defense, and he can, as a lefty, he can shoot the 3. And then Walter Kessler. So all in all, I give the Lakers an A+. And they're 4-0 in the Summer League. I give them the chance to win the Summer League. And I think they've done exceptionally well. Of course, being a Lakers fan, I'm extremely happy. And, of course, the Lakers lost Rui Hachimura to the Clippers. DeAndre Ayton went to the Wizards. I'll get into that. The Wizards are the last team I do, but the Wizards have 3 7-footers that are all first-round draft picks. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do things. They lost Jackson Hayes, the live wire 7-footer, to the Jazz in a replacement for, the big man the Lakers just got, Walker Kessler, and Luke Kennard. They just gave Luke Kennard away, and I couldn't believe that, but it was just crazy. And he went to the Suns, and they got him on a $6.5 million contract. The Lakers are paying $10 million. I don't know what happened there. I think Lakers needed to free up cap space without having to go into the second apron, which is obviously something that is very prevalent right now in the NBA. And Marcus Smart, as I mentioned earlier, to the Rockets. On to the next, the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I'm giving them a C+. Cameron Boozer, of course, I think is going to be an all-star in the NBA for a very long time. I think he has a chance to win the Rookie of the Year if Caleb Wilson doesn't. I really like him. I've watched him in all the Summer League games he's played, and he is much better than I thought. I think he's going to be better than his father. And they also picked up, Cedric Coward is their second-year player. He had an unbelievable second half of the year. He's been playing well, and he's on Summer League. And has actually believed this is his second season, yeah. And then they picked up a big name, Oliver Prosper. He's like a 6'10", active guy. I really like the pickup. I think their starting lineup, I'll give it a C+. Now, they made a few trades, and they picked up Jeremy Grant from the Blazers, A.J. Johnson in a sign and trade with the Mavericks. Chris Murray joins a trade with the Blazers. Quentin Post, a nice 7-footer they picked up. D'Angelo Russell. Can't believe he's still in the NBA, but he'll give you some depth off the bench, and he can hit the 3. And Beef Stew. Not my favorite player, but he is a beast down low and has developed a 3-point game. He's an undersized big in a trade with the Pistons. The starting lineup, my guess with the Memphis is going to be Ty Jerome, now that he's fully healed. I think they're going to be Cedric Coward is going to play the 2 guard because he's 6'6" and plays D, and he's got really long arms. I think Jeremy Grant is going to be the 3, the small forward and wing. He put on some nice stats, averaged 20 points a game last year, can shoot the 3, as I mentioned. And then I think it's going to be Cameron Boozer at the 4, and the big Canadian, back from an injured year, Zach Edey, back at the 5. You're going to see a Memphis Grizzly team that's going to be revitalized with a new coach and new talent, new players, and Cameron Boozer is a winner. I'll just leave it at that. Let's go to the next team. They also, as I mentioned, lost Jean Morant in a trade to the Blazers. More about that later. And Santi Aldama, who I mentioned earlier with the Mavericks, a 7-footer from Spain. That was a great pickup and a great loss for them, but they've done well in replacing him. Let's go on to the Miami Heat. Their Summer League. They've got this young talent named Jameer Young has been playing absolutely mental, and they've got this guard who had an unbelievable game. I think yesterday he had 24 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds. His name is Trey Donaldson. I don't really know much about him. I did watch the game. They're re-signing the Heat with their big change because they got the big freak, the Giannis Antetokounmpo in the trade with the Bucks. They got Antetokounmpo, of course, which is amazing, and they signed Tim Hardaway. Agrees to another 1-year deal to come back. They scooped Bobby Portis, one of the best bench power forwards in the NBA. Doesn't miss games, can shoot the three, and he just gives it 100%. And Giannis loves him. And then the Greek Freak. I give them an A+ because it's amazing what Miami has. Unfortunately, what they don't have is they lost Tyler Hero, Kasparas Jaskaonis, pardon my enunciation again, and he departs with the trade with the Bucks. Jaime Jaquez Jr. departs with the Bucks. Norman Powell is gone and over in the Bulls. And my favorite big man that didn't get any respect, Kel'el Ware, should be the starting center with the Bucks. And I believe the starting lineup for the Miami Heat is going to be Devion Mitchell. I don't think he's a starting point guard myself, but maybe he has a better year, and he's not bad. Their starting two guard is another player I don't think should be a starting two guard, but maybe Coach Spo knows something more than we do. Maybe. Pelle Larsson from Sweden. The third wing is going to be Andrew Wiggins. Just signed a 3-year deal, and he plays great defense, and can, he gives you 17, 18 points a game. And if he can stay healthy, is very consistent, and I think he'll be the wing guy. I think Bam and the Greek Freak Giannis are interchangeable. Bam could play center, but I think Bam has a better outside game than the Greek Freak. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Greek Freak was playing center and put Bam as a power forward. You can bring bigs out to the three-point line and give more room for the Greek Freak. Once he gets the ball on the block, he's unstoppable. So you need bench depth from the Heat. You need three-point shooters because they're going to double and triple team both these guys, Bam and the Greek Freak. And right now they don't have it. So it's going to be interesting to see how they pick up. And by the way, LeBron is also considering going back to the Heat as they won a championship. He won a championship with the Heat. So again, who's it going to be? Golden State? Is it going to be Philly? Is it going to be the Heat? Or is it going to be the Cavaliers back home in Akron? We shall see. 24 hours? 48 hours? Who knows? It's exciting, though. I'm excited, in case you haven't noticed. Let's go down to Milwaukee Bucks. Summer League. They scooped the second-year point guard from the Heat, Kasparas Jaskaonis. They drafted Braden Burries, exciting point guard, really electrifying. Kuzman Gang actually played really well in the second half of the year last night. He's 6'9", 235, and they signed him to a contract. And I think their starting lineup looks like this. I think it's going to be Ryan Rollins, who had an excellent season last year. He's a really solid point guard. And Tyler Hero, of course, they got in the trade with the Greek Freak. It's going to be the starting two guard. I think it's going to be Jaime Jaquez Jr. as the wing starting. And Miles Turner, bit soft, but he can shoot the three. And I think he's going to go really well with Kel'el Ware at the 5. Now, Kel'el Ware can shoot the three, but Miles doesn't have the inside game that Kel'el does. So, anyways, they're interchangeable. At least they got 2 7-footers. It's encouraging. I really think that the Bucks did a pretty good job, all said and done. Kuzman Dang signed a 3-year deal. They picked up a multi-year deal on Bogojub Markovic. I think he's a big 7-footer. Pete Nance to a 2-year deal. Gary Trent. Talk about a weird. The Bucks paid or gave Gary Trent Jr., who's literally almost out of the NBA. Last year, he averaged about 8.5 points, 2 rebounds, couple assists, and he's 38% from 3. And they gave him a 4-year deal, a $64 million 4-year deal. And he was making, $6 million last year. I think what happened is they made a mistake, and they were going to include him in the Greek Freak trade, and they had to match salary, so the NBA is looking into it. It might be illegal, and it might be against the CBA, and it might be void. So the NBA's got to do some stuff before the Summer League finishes and the preseason starts very soon. So it's really weird. Tyler Hero, I think, is a good addition. Kasparas gives good depth at the point guard. Jaquez Jr., I love it. Karis LeVert, they already picked up. He's off injured and traded, but he is 6'6" and can provide really good depth off the bench. And my favorite big, Kalel Ware, the 7-footer. I'm going to give the team, the Bucks, an A on this. I think they've done exceptionally well filling all the holes. And I didn't even mention all the guys on the bench. And they got a new coach. And it's going to be interesting to see how things work. Let's go down to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they had this. They drafted this kid named Zion Pullen, and he's been playing out of his mind in Summer League. I don't even know who he was. They also got the big Australian kid. He's like 7'3". His name is Rocco Zakarski, and he's been playing really well. He's going to give good depth behind Rudy Gobert. As he's 7'3", even though he's only about 280 pounds, or not even 280, pardon me, he's like 240 pounds, but he's really active and long and unselfish, and he can shoot the three. Then they got this other kid named Joan Berenger. He's a forward. He's pretty good, and I think their starting lineup is going to look like this. LaMelo Ball is going to be their point guard. Anthony Edwards, of course, is going to move back to his shooting guard position. He's so prolific, and I think that backcourt could be maybe the best backcourt in the NBA. At the small forward or / combo guard, depending how you do it, Ayo Desumu is 6'5". He can play the wing because his defense is excellent, and his shooting percentage is one of the few players in the NBA that shoots over 50% from the field, almost 40 from the three. In fact, I think he did last year, and 86 from the foul line. He's almost a 50-40-90 guy, invaluable, and he plays defense. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's the case. Jaden McDaniels had an unbelievable year, so much so that he's now the starting point guard or power forward with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then, of course, Big Rudy, the big Frenchman in the middle, had a great season last year, played really well and consistent. And Chris Finch, who I played with in the British Basketball League when he played with Sheffield Sharks, has done really well in the NBA as a head coach. And I think he's got a better team than he's ever had. And with some of their injuries they had and some of the drafts they have and depth they've added, they could be a team that people are going to be looking over the shoulder going, got to watch out for these guys. All in all, I give... I'll tell you the guys they picked up. So Jalen Clark agrees to a deal. Ayo Desumo had a new 4-year deal. Bones Highland, who Chris really likes as a backup point guard, agreed to a deal. LaMelo, of course, joins him. Josh Green. And Trey Lyles, who's a valuable 6'9", multifaceted good bench guy. All in all, I give Minnesota Timberwolves an A. Done a fantastic job. And they lost Mike Conley, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, and Kyle Anderson. You got to bring guys in as the other guys go out. And I think they did a really good job. It's going to be interesting. Let's go down to the New Orleans Pelicans. Probably the only team in the NBA that hardly did anything in the offseason and free agency. They drafted only one player, and his name is Josh Aduro. I watched him play in the Summer League, and he is a nice pickup, a big man. They also signed DeAndre Jordan for a 1-year deal. I think they probably could have got someone better, but they liked him as a backup for Yves Messi. The GM, Joe Dumars, I'm not really sure what you're doing, bro, but you're getting paid a lot of money, so maybe you thought the team that you had now was the team that you're going to be going for with. Obviously, that's what they do, and the starting lineup looks like this. DeJounte Murray is coming back from that awful Achilles injury and is healthy. And I think Trey Murphy at 6'8", they could put him at the 2 guard, and that gives him 6'5" at the point and 6'8" at the 2 guard, and then put Zion Williamson at the 4, put Sadiq Bey at the 3, who had a great season last year, and start Derek McQueen at the center. He's a rookie, but he's got so much talent. And Yves Messi is right there. And it's going to be exciting. I like watching them play. I think they have a great starting lineup, but their bench is really, really weak. And who else we got here? Right now we're going to go down to the New York Knickerbockers, the NBA Championship New York Knickerbockers. The first championship Knickerbockers have won in over 53 years. I saw their first 2 championships. I am that old. In 1970-71 and 1972-73, when Clyde Walt Frazier was their point guard, and they won both championships. And I saw it on an old black and white television, when I was about 4 years old. I was 5 years old, I believe, in the first championship. And it was on ABC. It was black and white, and I was just like a kid, and I was like, man, what is this? And here I am today, hardcore hoop junkie, played professional basketball. I haven't played basketball professionally for 25 years, but I'm still a hoop junkie, as you could probably tell. Look at my office, surrounded by basketball. Anyways, New York Knicks, they get a B in the grade, and they re-sign Jose Alvarado to a 3-year deal, Jordan Clarkson to a 1-year deal, Mohamed Diawara to a 4-year deal, a multi-deal. They got him on a steal 2 bargain. Nice big man, plays D, he's got length. Landry Shamet had a fantastic postseason, and they signed him to a 4-year deal, almost $30 million. So everybody's getting paid. In the very last little bit of the last big man remaining, they picked up Andre Drummond to a 1-year deal. So I'm giving the Knicks a B. I think they did quite well. They lost Ariel Hook Party, who was a nice big 6'10 kid, to the 76ers. Then the Sixers needed another big. And Mitchell Robinson also to the Celtics. The Knicks owner, who's a billionaire, didn't want to pay the second apron. So he said, trade these guys. Let's stay under the second apron. We'll keep the team together, and we'll go for another championship. And that's what they're doing. And so that starting lineup, not a big surprise here. My favorite point guard in the NBA right now is Jalen Brunson, the MVP, and what he did in the postseason, I haven't seen in a very long time. It was exciting. What a great leadership, and that whole, with Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, that whole Villanova vibe was brilliant, putting all these guys together. So I think Mikal Bridges is going to be the starting 2 guard. I think Josh Hart is going to be the starting 3 guard. You can put Josh Hart at the 2 and Mikal at the 3. They're interchangeable. Mikal's 6'7". He has more height, but Hart's a better rebounder. Mikal's a better scorer, and he played really well in the second half of the year. And then, of course, OG is just, what he did with the Knicks is unbelievable. I love what he did, and that tip in the end, that trade from Toronto is one of the reasons why they have the depth that they have and the defense. And, of course, the big man in the middle, Karl Anthony Towns. Honestly, I was never a fan, but I am now. And he showed me in the postseason much more than I've ever seen. And he played with heart and energy and passion, and he got rewarded with a $275 million contract. So, sweet. On to the reigning ex-NBA championships, OKC, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I give them a C+. They always draft well, but they have so much depth, and they have, 15 draft picks remaining, so it's quite remarkable. They re-signed Isaiah Hartenstein to a 3-year deal, Kendrick Williams to a 1-year deal, and they added Brendan Carlson, departs from the Blazers. Isaiah Joe departs and gets traded to the Pistons. Aaron Wiggins goes to the Hawks. And that's C+. I'm looking at the starting lineup. Nothing really changes as long as they're healthy. And that is Shea, the Canadian, I think the best Canadian point guard in the world, and ex-MVP and a phenomenal point guard in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I think their 2 guard is going to be the defensive, another Canadian. We got a Canadian backcourt in the NBA. It's pretty impressive. And that's Lou Dort. A great defender, 6'5", thick, can shoot the threes, got one of the best arcs in the NBA. And Jalen Williams, if he can get that hammy fixed up, a great man on the wing for the 3 position. Chet Holmgren, the human pencil, at the 4 at power forward, and Isaiah Hartenstein as the center. All in all, I think they're still going to be in the game for another championship. That is absolutely for sure. And then going down to Orlando Magic. And Orlando Magic is another one of these teams that really, they didn't pick anyone in the draft. They did re-sign Jevon Carter to a 1-year deal. Jonathan Isaac, who's been on the team injured off and on, he's had some really bad injuries, to a 1-year deal. Give him another opportunity to get healthy and find a way to make some money. I love the addition of trading for Nikola Vucevic. Agrees to a 1-year deal. Boston just gave up on him for 1-year rent. I think Nikola Vucevic is a starting center. I believe he's better than Wendell Carter Jr., but they might start Wendell Carter Jr. because Vuce is getting a little long in the tooth, and he's a bit slow, and he doesn't block shots. And he's not the greatest rebounder, but he can shoot three, so they can play together. And so you're looking at, I think it's going to be Anthony Black at 6'7" is going to be the starting point guard. I think Jalen Suggs is going to come off the bench as sixth man. Desmond Bain is going to be their two guard. Franz Wagner is going to be their wing at 3. Paolo Banchero is going to be their power forward. And I think Nikola Vucevic should be their starting center. However, Wendell Carter Jr. probably will. And let's go right to Philadelphia 76ers. Their summer league, they did actually quite well in their draft. I give them a B+. They picked up this kid. I love his name. LeBron Fillon. Fillon. You know what he's filling? The bucket. And he's electrifying. He's not a big guard. He's about 6'3". They got him, but he's going to be a great backup for VJ Edgecombe and Maxey. And they also picked up Anthony Simons, who is a really good three-point shooter and gives you backup depth. And those were really good picks, I think, and that's why I gave them a B+. Jaylen Brown also it was a terrible trade from Boston. I think the GM there really screwed up, but Philadelphia is happy to have him, and they didn't have to give up much for him. So, it was a weird trade. Ariel Hook Party, they agreed for a big man backup role because they lost Andre Drummond. Dean Wade agrees to a 4-year deal. He gets a 4-year, $40 million deal from the Cavs. Take it. I honestly didn't think he was worth it, but he's in the NBA, so he deserves it. It'll be interesting to see. He plays pretty good D, 6'9". So I'm going to give them a B+. They lost Paul George, of course, with the trade to the Celtics, Quentin Grimes to the Lakers, Kelly Oubre to the Pacers, Drummond to the Knicks, and the starting lineup. I got it. Anthony Black at 6'7". Already went through that. Sorry. Maxey at the point guard, VJ Edgecombe, Dean Wade. Dean Wade could be the power forward, and Jaylen Brown could be the 3. And Joel Embiid, and let's hope he can be really healthy this year because it would be nice to see. And he's had some really strange injuries and some bad luck. Big Africa, come back healthy. Let's show everyone what you can do. So down to the Phoenix Suns, they drafted C.J. Huntley and Rasheer Fleming, both players that didn't really know. Watched them a little bit and really not too bad. Rasheer Fleming had some nice action. C.J. Huntley gives them depth in the big. They re-signed. I gave them a B because they re-signed Colin Gillespie to a 4-year deal. Another kid that wasn't drafted and signs a 4-year deal, and he'll be their starting point guard, in my opinion. Jordan Goodwin, a nice guy to come off the bench, also signed a 3-year deal. Mark Williams, the big man in Greece, 7-footer, agrees to a 3-year deal. He's a bit of a stiff. Not really, doesn't really do much. And they scooped Miles Bridges. He's one of my favorite. I love LaMelo and Miles, and that's why I used to watch the Hornets. And I think Miles is going to really do well in the wing at the 3 position. He's a great shooter. He's strong. He's athletic. He's a good rebounder. And when healthy, he's excellent. A lot of people don't like him. I do. They scooped Luke Kennard from the Lakers for $6.5 million on a 2-year deal. And they lost Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. And nobody's crying over that. Both are decent players. And all in all, I'll give them a B. The starting lineup at point will be Colin Gillespie at the 1, Jalen Green at the 2. Now, they might even try Devin Booker at the point. I got Booker at the 3, Miles Bridges at the 4. And I've got also Iguodala, the 6'11 rookie last year, had a really, really good, solid rookie season. However, I think they should give the opportunity, maybe start also Iguodala and give Kaman Maluk a little bit more of a look. He's had a great summer league. He's legitimate 7'1". He's about 260, and when he stands and opens his arms, he has a 7'6" wingspan. They need that down low in the block. So it's going to be really interesting. All in all, I give them a B, and I think they might be in a better position this year than they were last year. Going down to the Portland Trail Blazers and making their moves. Of course, they traded for Ja Morant. They literally got Ja Morant for a second-hand Volkswagen Westphalia camper pop top, an entire large box of Popeyes, and a shoe deal from Pakistan. I'm not really sure. I guess he didn't have any trade value. Nobody wanted him, but Portland was happy to take him, and I hope he has a fresh start. Apparently, he's found the outdoors. He likes to camp, and he's got a van life camping, and he's got a dog, and he's really into it. So I hope he gets another opportunity, and he finds that if he doesn't turn this around, he could be out of the NBA in less than 5 years. Hanson Young, the big Chinese kid, the 7-footer they got last year, he's been playing fantastic in Summer League, and he'll be backing up their starting center, which is Donovan Clingan. But before I get there, they also did additions on a 1-year deal. They got Brandon Carlson. They got Jean Morant, as I mentioned. Mikael Porter via waivers. And Jeremy Grant with a trade with the Grizzlies. Chris Murray, the younger brother of the other Murray, with Sacramento. And their starting lineup is going to look like, don't forget, starting point guard, Damian Lillard. Dame is back. And fantasy, I'm going to be grabbing him because Dame can still play. I don't care what anybody says. Can you imagine Damian Lillard and Jean Morant in the backcourt? And then your 3-player, your wing, is Denny Avdia. Denny had an unbelievable year last year, and he's legitimately 6'8.5", and he was playing point forward, and he had an all-star year. And the power forward, they're going to go with Toumani Camara, who's really showed a lot of growth. And the big man in the middle, 7'2", Donovan Clingan, played really well. When I first saw him, I thought he was going to be in one of these 80s, big stiffs in the middle. Actually not. He is long, he's smart, and had a great season. So I'm encouraged. I hope the Portland Trailblazers play really well, and I give them a B+ for their efforts. Sacramento Kings, I must say, the antithesis of almost every other team in the NBA. But the Summer League, they got in the 6th pick overall, they picked up a bigger, stronger Allen Iverson type in Darius Akuff Jr. He's been playing crazy basketball in the Summer League. He's definitely an NBA starting point guard. He is turnover prone. He's tied for the most turnovers in the Summer League, so that's an issue. But he can score, and he's got good size, and he knows how to distribute the ball. I love it. He's going to be their starting point guard. At the 2 guard, it's going to be Zach LaVine. The 3 position on the wing is going to be Keegan Murray. It might be irritating to hear that all game long, but if he could just get some consistency and do more than shoot threes, he could be a nice player in the wing. My favorite player, I think, is going to start at the power forward because he's got a 3-point game, is the big French 7-footer that they picked up and went ballistic when Domantas Sabonis, who I think is going to be their starting center this year, went down last year for half of the season. Maxime Renaud came out and played some of the most amazing basketball in the second half of the year. I was shocked, and I'll keep an eye on him for my fantasy basketball teams. And I believe Domantas Sabonis and Maxine can switch because they both can hit threes. Maxine's actually a better 3-point shooter, but Domantas could play power, and Maxine's larger at 7 foot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. They also did re-signing, and they signed Precious Achiuwa to a 2-year deal, and Daquan Plowden, I love that name, to a 2-year deal. But overall, I'm going to give them a D because Darius Akuff is worth more than a D, but they got Nick Clifford. And the problem is they're probably going to be the worst offensive team in the NBA. And in the NBA, if you're not a great defensive team and you're the worst offensive team, you're not even in the running to talk. You're going to be in the running for perhaps a top 3 first-round pick next year. Maybe that's what they want, because I'm not really sure what's going on in Sacramento with the ownership. Some of the moves they've made have been really strange, but that starting lineup is encouraging. We'll see what happens. We're going to go to San Antonio Spurs next year. I think San Antonio has a chance to be an NBA championship in the next decade, probably numerous times because of Wemby. Victor Wembanyama, the big 7'5" Frenchman, is an absolute freak of nature, and I mean that in the best possible way. He's a beautiful young man. He's cerebral. He's intelligent. He plays chess and reads books before a game. He's well traveled. He's calm. He showed a little bit of piss and vinegar last year. He wasn't taking it anymore, being pushed around. I think he needs to get on the weight program. But they signed. They drafted in Summer League. They got this big man named Terrace Reed Jr. He's been playing fantastic, and he's really a big load. He's about 6'10". They also picked up Jaden Quintons, who is just a beast at 7 foot. He's injured right now, but my goodness, what a great pickup. And eventually he's going to be Wemby's backup. Or if they go big, put him at power forward and put Wemby at 5. Or switch Wemby at 4, let him shoot threes, and put Jaden Quintons at the center. Check him out. It's crazy. And Harrison Barnes, a 1-year deal, great veteran. Played 82 games last year, I think 2 years in a row. And he's a solid citizen, and he's a calming veteran for these young kids. Julian Champagny agreed to a 3-year deal. Jordan McLaughlin, a 1-year deal. And Victor Wembanyama agrees to a 5-year extension. And that was just under $300 million, and he could have taken more, could have waited another year, but he said he wants to free up more money for the Spurs to continue to build a team so they can win multiple championships. I love the kid. I'm going to give them an A for what they did, how they did it, and where they're at. Look out, San Antonio Spurs. They're going to be really tough. And the other addition's really nice pickup. Tobias Harris just signed a 2-year deal from the Pistons and will bring veteran leadership on that starting lineup. And by the way, Tobias Harris, with this 2-year contract, has made more money than Kobe Bryant did in his entire career. It's hard to believe. Just shows you if you're a solid stand-up citizen on and off the court, and it helps you're 6'9". And you're always going to find a job in the NBA. He can shoot. He's just a great guy, and he's going to help these young kids because it's the second youngest team in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs. So I give them an A. It's pretty crazy. But their starting lineup, check this out. This is what I'm thinking. Darren Fox, he had a really tough playoffs last year and didn't really particularly play well. He's a veteran on the team, believe it or not. They call him Uncle on this team. Stephon Castle played unbelievable as the 2 guard. He's virtually unstoppable. Once he gets a 3-point game, look out. Devin Vessel just signed a new 3-year deal, and I think he'll be their starting 3 guard because he's got that 3, and he's a great passer, and he's got good size at 6'7". Tobias Harris at 6'9" is going to be their power forward, and Victor Wembanyama is going to be their center. Now, if they do decide to play small ball, and they could switch out Dylan Harper for Devin Vassell, and they won't miss a heartbeat, except Dylan Harper can't shoot the ball like Devin. So it's going to be very interesting. They did a very nice job with drafting. They did a great job on holding the team together. I'm going to give them an A. San Antonio Spurs could be future NBA championships. Down to the only Canadian team in the NBA. We love our Canadians on here at the Canadian Bro Show. All basketball with the Hoopjunkies, Pauly and Rowley. Summer League, they drafted this Canadian kid who I love. His name is Alan Graves, and he's 6'9", and he's versatile. I mean, he drops dimes, he rebounds, he's unselfish, he's smiling, he's quick on his feet. He kind of reminds me of like a poor man's Larry Bird. I know that's a big stretch, but I really like him. I think it's a great pick. I think he's going to fit in. It's exactly what the Raptors needed. And they picked up they just signed a guy they picked up in their second round, a big 7'1" guy named Nate Brittle. And I've been watching him in summer leagues, and no one knows who this guy is, and he's just jacking threes anytime he's open and hitting them. They just signed him. To how many years did they get him for? A couple years. So good for him. A rookie to, so it just shows you sometimes in summer league, if you perform and it's the right position and the right time, you'll fit in, you get signed. And it's encouraging. And I think Toronto really did well with those 2 bigs. They did, however, also agreed to a 2-year deal with Elijah Martin. Kyle Anderson agrees to a 1-year deal. He's very versatile and tall, slow-mo. And the Kawhi Leonard trade is they gave away a lot to get him, turning 36. And the NBA's put the deal on hold. It might be null and void because of the $28 million gift from when he was with the Clippers and that Phantom Company corporation that was attached. NBA has been holding on to this for over a year, and either this trade's going to be a grade of a B or a D. We're just going to have to see what happens. Go Raptors. And go Temple, the brand new franchise for the WNBA, which Trent and I are going to be doing a WNBA episode very soon. Departing, Grady Dick, not a big deal. Brendan Ingram was a big deal, but he just disappeared in the playoffs last year. And A lot of people were saying maybe he couldn't see the rim because his eyes were there were slits. Everyone thinks the guy's just baked all the time. Could be true. It is legal. I don't know. And Sandro, I'm not even going to go say his last name, even though I normally can say it. Starting lineup for the Raptors. Emmanuel Quickly, if he could just stay healthy and have a season like he had 2 years ago. RJ Barrett's going to be the shooting guard. Another Canadian. Scotty Barnes is going to be the power forward. Colin Murray-Bowles is going to be their small forward. And at center, the big Austrian, Jacob Pertl. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the Raptors can put it together. And going back down to the Utah Jazz. This is the second to last team. So thank you very much for joining me with this episode. But let me just bang these out here. Of course, the Utah Jazz, they got one of the best scorers that I've ever seen, a prolific scorer. And what he did in the first 3 games of the Summer League was like slow motion. Darren Peterson is the real deal. And if he can play 75 games, he'll be starting at the 2 this year for sure. Unbelievable draft pick. Ace Bailey, of course, was already picked up, but Ace is going to be starting. He'll be their third small forward. Mo Bamba, because they needed depth as they lost Kessler, agrees to a 2-year deal. Mo can shoot the 3, and he's a legitimate 7-footer. Yusuf Nurkic is also agreed to a 2-year deal, another 7-footer that provides backup. He might even start at center. You never know. Jackson Hayes, they scooped from the Lakers. He's just a live wire, a 7-foot spring being 40-inch vertical. Josh Okogie gives them depth on the wing and at the point guard defensively. Can't shoot, but whatever. Departing, of course, is Walker Kessler. Only played 5 games last year, and they got a ton for him, so it's all good. Excuse me. The starting lineup. So I'll give them a C+ for their picks, and I want to give more for the draft. Darren Peterson is an A by himself, but if you look at all the other players, maybe that's low. I should give them a B. Starting lineup: Keontae George and Darren Peterson in the backcourt. That is electrifying. Ace Bailey at the 3, Lauri Markkanen, 7'1" at the power forward, and Jaren Jackson Jr., 6'10", maybe 6'10 and a half at the center. And then, it's really encouraging. I'm going to watch him. I like that starting 5. Not a big fan of what Ainge has done, but I think the Jazz have gotten through the worst. And I think the Jazz this year have a potential to get into the playoffs, certainly top 8, maybe even top 6. To finish off this episode 60 at the Canadian Bro Show podcast, in all basketball with the Hoopjunkies, Pauly and Rowley. My name is Paul Bale, the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and the last team will save the worst for the last. Oh, maybe not the worst this year, but that is the Washington Wizards. I'm giving them a B+ because they drafted AJ Benesta, and he's been playing unbelievable. He's 6'9", he's long and athletic, and last year's pick was Will Riley, who played unbelievable in the last quarter of last year at 6'8". Kid's going to be special. They signed Trae Young to a 4-year deal. In my opinion, one of the few 2010 point guards in the NBA. And their Washington Wizards is one of the only teams, if not the only team, in history that have 3 7-footers all in the first round on their team. Dondre Ayton, Sarr, the Frenchman, the 7'1", and of course the Brow, who they picked up from the Lakers. And they also got Chris Middleton from the Mavericks, and they lost Jaden Harvey and D'Angelo Russell. And their starting lineup is going to look like this, and it looks really good. It's going to be Trae Young at the point guard, of course. It's going to be 6'8", Keyshawn George at the 2 guard, I'm guessing, unless Will Riley takes that over at some point later. AJ Bantasta, oh my goodness, my enunciation. At the 3, Anthony Davis, of course, the Brow at the 4. He doesn't like to play the center. The third first-round pick that they have, Alex Sarr, the second first round, will be their center at 7'1". And I think their 6th man and 7th man are going to be Bilal Coulibaly and Trey Johnson. And that is it. Thank you kindly for joining me. That was a lot. And I know it's a lot for everyone, but there's been so much going on, and we're not quite finished yet. There's about 6 or 7 free agents. 2 of them are restricted free agents. And And then, of course, the big ticket, the king, LeBron James. And so it's going to be interesting. Durant is still available. Not much left. The king only has a few options. So my guess is he wants to be in the East. I don't think he wants to be in the West. And it's a good thing most of these teams are in the East. I think he maybe goes back to Akron and fits right into the starting power forward role with 2 7-footers and the back card of the beard. And, it just fits. And he won a championship. And I think that could happen. Of course, there's always the Philadelphia 76ers. He could fit in starting power forward there. And the Warriors would be lovely. I don't think he might, because there's good golf in San Francisco, and he's not far from his house. Although he's got a mansion in Akron as well. And who knows where he goes. But I'm excited. It would be kind of cool to see him with the Warriors. I know he loves Curry. And I think with LeBron and Jimmy coming back, they've got some more depth. They've got a great coach. Don't be surprised. But I don't know. I just think that maybe it's going to be the Cavaliers. My dark horse could be the Heat, but they just don't have the depth. I don't think they can win a championship this year, Wood. Anyways, I just wanted to say thanks again for joining me. And Trent will be joining me for the next episode. And we'll be doing that sooner than later, probably in the next week or so. But in the meantime, you see the subscribe up in the top right-hand or my left-hand corner. If you enjoy our free content and this is your first time to the Canadian Bro Show, my name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host. And the Canadian Bro Show is essentially, we've done about 150 episodes in less than 2 years now. And the first iteration of the Canadian Bro Show is all things Canadian with Pauly and Johnny. And we talk about pop culture and a number of different issues in Canada. And we've done, I think we're going on 80 episodes there. The second iteration is all basketball with the Hoopjunkies, Pauly and Rowley, and this is our 60th episode. So thank you for joining me. And I also do interviews. We're doing a segment on how to be a professional basketball player. And I'll be interviewing all my old teammates when I used to play professional basketball, and coaches and agents and general managers. And if I'm lucky enough to maybe get one or two of the NBA guys I used to play with, that'd be phenomenal. And then I'm also a licensed realtor at Orca Realty in British Columbia. And I also going to be doing the Real Estate Minute on a monthly basis and doing interviews on real estate as well. And but enough of that. Before you go, if you could kindly subscribe, like, comment, share. If you enjoy this free content, we really appreciate it here at the Canadian Bro Show podcast. My name is Paul Bale, the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and I just want to wish everybody a fantastic weekend. I'm in Kelowna. It's 34 degrees out right now, and I'm going to be wrapping everything up. But before I go, if there's one thing I could ask all of you to do aside from subscribe, is be kind out there. Be nice to somebody. Make somebody's second, moment, day, week, year, make their life. Just be kind. It's free. Thanks again for joining us. Peace. All basketball from the Hoopjunkies, Pauly and Rowley. Check us out. Take care. Thanks kindly. See you, everyone.